Hi, my name's Scott Metcalf. I work for Ergon Asphalt and Emulsions. And here we are. Woohoo! Okay, I'm going to bring some heat now because this is not my presentation, and I'm not the original agenda guy. So thanks to my good friend Jason Dietz in Federal Highways, we're here to help. He asked me to try and give a presentation on PPRA, the James Sorensen Award, and then some toolboxes that agencies, I don't know if, I guess I'll hear back from you guys if you guys think you do a great job of these toolboxes, or maybe we give you some incentive or some knowledge and maybe some tools to walk away with from the end of the day to get a James Sorensen Award, and then also increase your pavement preservation. So without further ado, does anyone know what the PPRA stands for? Really? Okay. Well, it's the Pavement Preservation Recycling Alliance. It is comprised of EMA, ERA, and ISSA. Together, the EMA, ERA, ISSA boards got together and said, we have a lot of synergies, and we need to get together with a better marketing group, a better outreach group, and so we formed the PPRA. And that group is partnered with the pavement preservation webinars and rode the resource center with the Federal Highways. And they have done, in the last 2 years, I believe it is, 28 webinars. Jason just handed out an additional webinars for you. Basically, feds come out with some topics, ask the 3 different associations to find speakers, find topics, find industry experts on those topics to present webinars. They've been very successful, and I'd highly recommend that if you'd like to know a little bit more about asphalt recycling or some slurry seals or emulsions, what is it good for? October 20th, November 17th, and December 15th are the webinars, and certainly they're well attended. I've seen sometimes you get 300 people. What was that? And they're free. Free. God, that's even better. Free. So the James Sorensen Award in 2020 went to this fine gentleman in the city of Lexington. Lexington. Everyone know where Lexington is? Massachusetts. The Minuteman. Shot heard around the world. Conquered. Why am I excited about this, and why did I get chosen to even speak about this, is simply because I was involved in a construction project with Lexington. I went and made sales calls with a contractor in the East Coast. They said, hey, we kind of need an expert on rejuvenating fog seals. Can you come out and teach some classes? So I came out and taught some classes, and Lexington was there. And so we had a great time, great meeting. And so lo and behold, that was in 2013. 2020, they win the James Sorensen Award. So those are what we're going to have highlighted there. We're going to talk about Lexington's networks and success story, because that is obviously the topic here, success and pavement preservation. We're going to talk about, raise your hand if you happen to have known Jim Sorensen. Okay, I was on Jim Sorensen's steering committee to find his 4th ex-wife. And Jim loved Crown and was just a huge influence and man in pavement preservation and federal highways. He was absolutely influential in getting pavement preservation for federal funds, a good friend and mentor of Jason's, and many people in the industry. So we're also going to cover the, what the criteria was for the award, and then the top 3 lessons that Lexington earned or learned from that process. And then we're going to go to a toolbox at the PPRA and kind of show you an agency toolbox, some things you can download for free. Ooh, free. I love it. Free stuff. And then we're going to answer some questions. So here's the network, PCI network of Lexington in Massachusetts. And looking lo and behold, in 2010, before Scott gets there with his incredible sales staff from Indus and Group, they were at a 68 and going down. Today, 2021, they're at an 89 How'd they do that? That's pretty incredible. They didn't have an increase in funding either. They got people to buy in, and they stopped doing mill and fill and worst first, shave and pave, and they started utilizing a significant amount of different tools, and we'll talk about that here today. They went from a backlog of reduced repair work. 78% of the roads needed that. It needed $35 million. Today, they only need $7.5 million to take care of their backlog and work. Reduce poor roads from 39% of poor roads in 2010 in their rating system to 9%. Wow, that's impressive. Who would like to be doing that? Is that good? Raise your hand if you think that's good if you're an agency guy. Is that a good number? Utah didn't raise their hand. I guess they didn't think that was all too good. I guess they're like, I could have done better. Working with 20 and 25% of the roads annually, and you're like, wow, 25% of their roads to 20% of their roads get some treatment, or they're out there annually. Well, that's a lot of windshield time with your customers and your clients and your traveling public. More compliments than complaints. So one of my plants in Southern California is near Ranch Cucamonga, and their pavement management system is the complaint phone. And so the phone rings, and they get a complaint, and they go over to the map, the city map, and they write down complaint, and they write down complaint. And after 10 complaints, they go do something. And so that was their driver. Now, they have all the payment management system to get all the money, boom. But, implementing that could be difficult. That would take knowledge. A complaint map is much more efficient. And so I doubted that. I'm like, yeah, this just can't be true. This just couldn't be a complaint map. So I talked to my friend who lived in Ranch Cucamonga, one of my sales reps. I said, hey, Todd, if you call your 10 friends and call and complain, I bet you can get your street overlaid. Now, this street had some thermal cracks. That was it. It needed crack sealing. It didn't need overlay. 10 complaints, man, next summer, shave and pave, 2.5 inch, mill and fill, all's good. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. 20 years passes by, guess what he does? Calls his neighbors, they all complain, shave and pave. Neighborhood down the street, there's nothing for 20, 30 years. Not a soul, but no one calls and complains. So this really tells you the truth. They didn't get any complaints. They got more compliments than complaints in Lexington. This is Jim Sorensen himself right there, from the great state of Montana. And he always loved to wear Hawaiian shirts. Jim was a Vietnam vet. Always thanked him for his service. Montana State University, 1976. So he had a great time and saw some great opportunities and saw the federal government really grow into pavement preservation, pavement management. And he's probably the impetus of this particular meeting, and the national meeting was Jim's vision, and he really forced to have FP2 in the foundation for pavement preservation developed. Gary Hicks could probably comment more on that later. There it is in his infamous wisdom, with his Hawaiian shirts on, always there. He was a great guy and no complaints. Well, I guess you can complain to him and he'd say, what are you going to do about it? He was an action-oriented guy. The award goes to these criteria. This goes to acceptance of stakeholders and demonstration of the right products at the right time, 20%, and then public notification, communication, and you get these other processes, and those how basically it grades out. The awards committee grades you. But if we really look at that and say acceptance stakeholder, how do you get acceptance of stakeholder? Communication. You have to have good communication to get the acceptance of the stakeholders. Demonstrate right treatment, right road. Once again, commitment to education, communication. Public notification, communication. The traveling public isn't complaining to them because they're notified, they know what to expect, and they've seen what's going to go on. And you know what happens? When the agency says we're going to do something, they actually go do it. So with this, I mean, what they look at, the capital expenditures committee, unanimous approval, excited to see their process going over there. So the city was excited. 2,000 or 200 elected town meetings and representatives, they were there. So they were out communicating what they were going to do. So the stakeholders' perspective, communication, communication, communication. So I said in 2010 when I went and visited Lexington, or actually in 2013, but this was their 2010, this is what they did. They did crack sealing, they did mill and fill, and they did full depth reclamation. Or really full depth pulverization. They didn't add any emulsion or cement to it. So that's what they had 3 treatments, 3 processes. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. It was easy to cut and paste. Do this, do that, same thing, do it again, rinse and repeat. If we look at today, here's their toolbox. Oh my God. I mean, they got fog seals, they got crack seals. The fog seals I take personal responsibility for and much excitement. We talked about how pavements age oxidize. What is the best suntan lotion you can put on a pavement? Get those little micro fissures filled up right after pavement. They started doing that, and lo and behold, processes don't lie. The numbers do not lie. They're showing the value, keeping the moisture and water out of the pavement, especially in a hard freeze-thaw climate like they have up in Massachusetts. So you got lots of tools there they're operating with. They do public notifications. They send this letter out twice a year to the entire public. They tell them what they're going to do, what the plan is for the year. And every member, every city member in Lexington gets this piece of paper. This is what we're going to do. This is our strategy. At the end of the year, come October, they're busy rating what they got and what they did and reporting back what they did with the taxpayer money. It's fantastic. Here's their little blurb on microsurfacing. Tell them how they're going to microsurface and what they're going to do. We won't get to read that. It's all, you can read it later. As Gary will remind you, you got to download these presentations. Right, Gary? Yeah. Cool. Public notifications, 10% was part of the criteria. But here's a map that they hand out to everybody. Everyone in the city gets the map. Here's the plan. Here's the project. This is what we're going to do this year. Highlight it. Public notifications. So that here they talk about this is what we're going to do. Here's your route. We're going to think about how do we tell you, the traveling public. So you get Mrs. Smith. Mrs. Smith is 78 years old, and she goes to the store, and she goes to bingo, and she drives home the same route every day. She's on autopilot. But Mrs. Smith doesn't know any other way to get home. Doesn't know where to go. Here is the plan. Here's your strategy. Here's your process to avoid the traffic. Thinking of notifying the public, not just letting them figure it out. So the 3 lessons that they learned, and here they are getting their award. We got tools in the toolbox. How many people have all kinds of specs in their specification, but are only using 3? I heard that clearly today from multiple agencies, that there were a lot of tools that they just weren't using for possibly contractors or availability of materials. But if you have some tools in the toolbox, try to experience it. If you develop the contractors will come. Spray pavers, I remember introducing the first spray paver to California in 1998, December 10th. Jeff Weitzel was operating it. It was the only one. I think now in Southern California, there might be 12 spray pavers just cooking along. Same thing in Las Vegas. It took a while. Stay the course with the treatments. Don't throw the baby out with the bath water. Let's just change the water maybe. Try keeping the baby. Here's those tools. Remember, just a visible representation. They had 3 tools in their toolbox before. Now they got crack sealing, mill and fill. They got reclaimed, grade, and pave. They got single micro. They got double micro. They got cape seal. They got fog seal rejuvenators, and they got cold in place recycling. That is a plethora of tools in the toolbox for a very, very small agency. Here's their PCI trends. and miles treated. I mean, that's awesome. But it also shows the tools in the toolbox being utilized and which tools they're utilizing the most, and the total lane miles that they're treating. So their fog seals, you're looking like they're doing a fairly decent amount of fog seals. They're looking like they're doing a lot of single micro, some cape seals. Not doing a lot of cold in place recycle, but it's certainly a process that they're utilizing. We go back to communicating success, and this is what they did and what they do on an annual basis with their leadership. They have a Twitter account. They're out there tweeting. They're out there telling the public what they're going to do. How many agencies have Twitter and tweet out information to the traveling public? Jerry, I know you guys do. I think it's probably easier on a local level than it is a statewide level, but maybe you need to have regional people that are really adapted at tweeting information. Emails, websites, constant contact, YouTube, mailers, door knockers, door by door. Everything has a uniform, consistent message, and everything leads back to an agency where they can get more information, which is back to the PPRA and Save My roadresource.org is a website, is a clearinghouse. So you can only imagine Lexington, Kentucky, or Lexington near Concord, Massachusetts, is near MIT. It is full of professors from MIT. They are inspector generals. I mean, those guys, they'll tell you how to build a rocket ship, they'll inspect it, and they'll tell you what you did wrong and tell you why you need to do something different. I mean, everyone's just an engineer. So for them to be able to do this and do it successfully and not have complaints really speaks volumes to what they're doing. In the PPRA roadresource.org, if you go to this, you can download, and you got to find this, and if you can't, send me an email, I'll send you a link. But you go to this agency document download. It's free. I love free. I tried doing it. I didn't have T1. It took me about 38 minutes to download all the free stuff you're going to get. So make sure you got a little internet capacity when you hit the download. But you're going to get a lot of great stuff. And we'll talk about that here. Roadresource.org is a comprehensive PPRA website. How many people, raise your hand if you've been on it? Keep them up. Okay, raise your other hand if you've really been on it. Who's a super user? Stand up.
I like the class. Does that make me?
Yes, that makes you a super user. Wow, okay. It's a great resource the industry put together. It is, if you want to know what industry thinks and where they should be going and where our treatments should be placed, and where they shouldn't be placed, this is going to give you that information. Federal Highways, Pavement Preservation, certainly a very useful website. I have that bookmarked and go there often. Pavementpreservation.org, National Center, slurry.org, which is the ISSA part of the PPRA, great resource for slurries. Lexington, you can download and check out Lexington's process and what they tell their traveling public in their program. It's very transparent, but it's very much that we're saving taxpayers' dollars, we're environmentally friendly, we're good stewards of your money. This is what we said we're going to do, and this is what we did, and here's the proof in the pudding. They got some YouTube treatments there, which are really great, so you can guide the people to kind of, when you're telling them what's going to happen on their street, that you're good to go. So with that, I'm going to go to the toolbox and show you what you could download for free. You get all these wonderful things. Let's go pretend like we were on the internet and we had right there. And so here we have informational PDFs. We got PowerPoint materials, but let's just go to PowerPoint materials. If you wanted a PowerPoint to talk about pavement preservation and what your program was, you could open that up. So here's a sample of what you might be able to get on that website. No, it didn't pop up. Okay, So you can download, you got door flyers, you got knockers, you got yard signs, you have when we're going to be here, if you need more information, if you need help, if you need assistance. But the other thing that they always work with a contractor with is everybody on the crew has a plan. Everyone knows, from the stop guy to the slurry guy to the fog seal people, that the traveling public is not used to seeing them. And so they know what they're supposed to tell the public. Why are you guys out here? Well, we're saving you money in pavement preservation, and we're helping save the environment because we're recycling. Everyone in the crew, all 27 of them, know the language that needs to be presented to the traveling public, so there's not a problem. If they have a problem, I don't know how to get here, I don't know how to go home, I can't, can you help me? Yes, I can help you. What I'm going to do is you just stay here, I'm going to call a senior help guy, and he's going to come over and address your problem. But no one ever just says, I don't know, it's all good. No, everyone has a role, responsibility, and they know what they're supposed to do. And so that's really, that goes back to that communication that they have there. And Jason, do you have anything you would like to add, since this is your time and presentation?
After 2 3/4 years of doing these webinars, this was the first webinar that we did. For the first 20 minutes, the sound wasn't very good, so I was like, oh. But unfortunately, I couldn't hear it as we were recording it. It was just after the fact, so it was kind of disappointing. But most of it turned out pretty well, and there's a lot of useful. Also, there's in Virginia, they got another presenter that talked second after this gentleman and did a fabulous job of talking about their program as well. So if you get a chance, take a peek.
And that's all on the great website. I would love to give you a tour of it, but we're just not set up to do it. If you haven't, who's been on it? Raise your hand if you've been on it. Okay. What was that?
We already did it.
You already did? Well, I want to make sure. I'm reinforcing. It's called the reinforcement statement. You ask once, and then you got to do it, and then you reinforce again to say, wow, this seems like that should be really something I should do. But if you go onto the website, they have this thing called the ice cream sandwich. And the ice cream sandwich is probably the most valuable data point, and it's basically a cross-section of an asphalt section of a roadway with multiple distresses. And the ice cream sandwich goes from a perfectly brand new road into a bad road to a really, really bad road. And you see the cracks, you see the functional potholes, you see the distress, you see the failure in the aggregate base and the pumping and the fines. And so you can click on all the different tools and say, I want to do a fog seal. And Tim alluded to it earlier. It's the right road, right treatment. Put it in the right place. And it will sit there and say, fog seals, brand new roads, good condition. First year, second year, third year. You're putting a fog seal on a road after year 4, you're missing the boat. You're absolutely missing the boat. The baby already has sun cancer and oxidation. You needed to get it on year 1, year 2. And so the little ice cream sandwich is a really cool visual aid to talk about pavement preservation. And unfortunately, I can't get to, this isn't hooked into the power, is it? If you go to this fine, wonderful website, Treatment Toolbox, and we go over the Treatment Toolbox, and we're going to evaluate by criteria. We go down to this, and here is our ice cream sandwich. And let's say I want to know more about fog seals. I just click on fog seals, and well, lo and behold, there's a visual representation. My kids can understand that. Even though she has a master's and working on her doctorate, she can understand that. So that's pretty cool. Rejuvenating fog seals, where you might do that. How about crack seal? All those are appropriate for crack seal. Get too far down, kind of wasting our money to crack seal a road that's that far bad. Scrub seal. Prime coats. Go on the aggregate base. Tack coats. I'll also ask you to join. You can join and submit. Full depth reclamation. Talks about the whole process. Click on it some more, get some more detail, more data on it. Get some specifications. It is a great, fantastic tool to train and educate traveling public, senior management management that doesn't know anything. Maybe it's the, some other bureau of group that's outside of the pavement preservation sector. They don't live in our world. They don't understand it. But once they see this, they understand clearly. Jerry, you've used it several times, and that's all I have. Thank you. And I don't get to speak anymore at all. I'm done.
The preceding was produced by the National Center for Pavement Preservation. More information can be found on the web at pavementpreservation.org. Additional support provided by Michigan State University.